right, so I guess we will go ahead and start. Sometimes sometimes we've got some tough traffic nights, and we got a lot of people out of town this week, so it's not a packed house. Sometimes
there's a lot of
spring breakers. Yeah, so we've got a pretty interesting subject, and for you guys, actually, you guys are not members for the education department, but we do archive this stuff that's online. First of all, welcome to Green Global Real Estate Education Network. As you guys know, we have, this is an education company. We have an investment group meeting every Wednesday. And I'd like to go around first. Quick introduction, won't take very long tonight. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a licensed lending officer. I'm a Green member.
So Nick does tons and tons of loans. 50 loans a month?
Roughly. Yeah, right now it's kind of slowing down, but
I don't know anybody that does. I haven't known anybody since Mike Eckhart that's done 50 loans a month, and he did a lot of loans. That's a lot of loans.
That's all residential loans?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's killing it.
That's congratulations.
All right.
You do fix and flip homes?
It's really hard to do those for the companies that I work with.
Yeah. Do you do any tear downs and build too? No.
I do delayed financing though.
Pardon?
I do delayed financing. That's pretty good. Where you can buy a house free and clear, and then as long as you do it within 6 months, you can get 80% of the value back out of the property.
Anybody?
Yeah, anybody.
Are there?
I mean, they have to have at least a 620 credit score, but you can pull up 80% of the value going conventional. Or
Are there income requirements on that?
Yeah, it's 49% DTI.
49, pretty good. Is it stated or actual?
No, it's actual verified.
Yeah, it's verified. It's 49%. You said it has to be done within 6 months?
Basically, buy your own cash and get 80% back out.
Well, yeah, that's what I've got 20 of those right now. So, okay, that's interesting. We'll talk to you about that. Introduce yourself, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm John Martin.
All right.
I do real estate.
All right. Very good. John is a builder/contractor, always looks for partners, creative deals. All right.
Joe Gray, my firm's ID Buying Insurance, insurance brokerage. So from the people side of life, disability, medical care, but flips, regular home and auto, business, professional liability.
You said you're rehabbing a house. Are you in Davidson County now?
Yeah.
Okay. You had a contract on any specific area on the contract?
Like which one of his?
We can talk about that. Potential fixes on this. All right.
My name is Reed Cersei. I'm just an agent. A lot of first-time home buyers and sellers. Wanted to learn a little bit more about the investment world.
Yeah. Reed, what company are you with?
Bradford Real Estate. We're right off of kind of 8 South area.
Who's your broker?
Tyler Garrett. Or Tyler Graham, I'm sorry.
Is it a newer company? Okay.
I started, I guess, in the last 2 years or so.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I've definitely been down that path. So, I certainly welcome agents who are going the hybrid investment route. That's how I built my business. So, I think having a license can be a good thing for a lot of people. It's not for everyone, but it's definitely a good tool. So, all right, and we're in introduction day, so introduce yourself.
I'm Marina, a Green member, learning, teaching. Myself, nobody else.
And we've got Anthony in the back. He just got a flip deal completed this week. So congrats to Anthony. We're on the move trying to get one of his properties flipped, and he got it done didn't need me for it. So, my name is Steve Chasen. I'm along with my buddy Mark, co-founders of Green, and like I said, this is a company. It's free and open to the public. Normally have a bit bigger crowd than this, but small crowds are good too. When we get a smaller crowd, a lot of times we get a little more personal, and we can talk about deals, talk about individual situations, kind of help people out. When it's a little bigger, we have to stick to topic a little bit more. We've got a gentleman who is a very experienced investor in Florida, and his name is Mike Cathell. He's going to be talking to us about investing in tiny houses. Now, it's a little bit new to me. I am, particularly for the next downturn, looking for land. Nashville's a little bit difficult right now. Now, Florida's an interesting situation because you can buy lots there for, in nice areas for $2,000 all day. Whereas here in town, the houses that used to be $10,000, the land is now $150,000, and so it's difficult to do that. But having said that, for those who are contemplating the short-term rentals, the Airbnb investments, you can still go outside of town. And the key is try to keep it within 30 minutes. Tiny houses may be a really good fit for something like that.
Yeah, this is exactly.
Yeah, you get it. You get that inexpensive piece of land that's still buildable. Throw up a tiny house, run a cool Airbnb concept, and you might have a really good cash flow investment that's affordable. I mean, you might even be able to pay for the thing out of your pocket. And we used to be able to buy land in Cheatham County like that, under $5,000 a lot. Now you can't find it right now because it's on the uptick. But that sort of window for that short-term rental within 30 miles, anytime you see land that's in that dirt cheap range, you could have a turn angle or an investment angle that you're not aware of with this tiny houses concept. So I'm sure it's probably potentially huge in a place like Florida where they've got so many lots that you can pick up cheap. But anyway, I'll turn it over to Mike, and then we'll let him do his presentation. Have a little question and answer.
Steve, can you hold on a second? Can we introduce anybody who's online? I am in Fort Myers myself. My name is Mark LaPera. I'm a Green mentor and co-owner. And I hear Reed's there. Hi, Reed. I talked to Reed last week. But I'd like to see if anybody else is on line and see who they are and where they're from, and welcome. Doc, is there anybody else on?
Yes, there is. Les?
Yeah, I'm Les Lazarus. I'm usually there in Nashville at the meeting, but right now we're down here in Florida. I've got about 25 years into buying foreclosures and partner up with different people and looking for more deals.
Where are you in Florida, just for fun?
Daytona for Bike Week.
All right, you're just north of me. Outstanding. So Andrea Molinari, I'm the Director of Education for Green. I'm in West Palm Beach, as I said, south of where Les is right now. Weather's very good, not to rub it in, people.
Well, Eva is a Green mentor from Texas. So as you see, we can be on from anywhere. Our speakers can be anywhere, and our listeners can be anywhere. That's the beauty of the Green system. And if I can ask, I'll text her. So Eva, I don't know if you're on. I don't want to speak for you, but let me just preface with Mike with these Green, these tiny houses. They're not just some funky little thing that we think of. In Florida, with these cheap $2,000 lots, for the last 100 years, those old couple from Ohio, Chicago, Wisconsin, Philadelphia, they've been coming to Southwest Florida, and they're not looking for the 3-bedroom, 1,500, 2,200 square foot houses. My dad just left there after 30 years of a 1-bedroom condo. That's all they want. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about anybody. They want a place they can come down, cheap, put their camper if they have to, park their cars in their own land, because these old, the old guys, we like our own property. And they like 600, 800 square feet. It's cheap. It's easy to get into. We're trying to get these things up, built, complete, fenced, irrigated with fruit trees for less than $100,000. Matter of fact, we'd like to put them at like $84,900. If you can advertise your own home and lot with fruit trees and everything for $85,000, we could sell 1 million of these things. That's where Mike is coming from right now. So we're actively going to get this thing working down here, this machine. And Mike's, this is phase 1 of 3 talks he's going to give on it. So without further ado, let's get Mike. Mike Cathell.
Thanks, Mark. Can everybody hear me okay? I hope. Okay.
I hear you.
I just kind of, this isn't part of the presentation, but something that Mark, kind of following up with something Mark said. He was saying putting a house up for $85,000. One of the houses that we'll show you a little bit later tonight that I didn't really have these prices in here, to give you an idea. The cost of the house, the shipping and the hookup at the lot, all of the distribution fees and handling fees, the taxes, the registrations, and furnishing it, 100% furnished. The total cost would be $84,867. So it's very feasible to build houses all day long for $85,000. Let's get into it. Again, I have it up there as fad or trend. A lot of people, I'm amazed when I walk around and talk to people, they've never even heard of tiny houses. But again, all you have to do now is turn on any TV station that does anything to do about real estate, and they're talking about tiny houses. And the first thing I want to tell people about is, this is, again, something that people don't understand. Even though the word house is in the name, they are not houses. They are RVs, which means different zoning, and you don't pay property taxes on it. Isn't that cool? Anyways, let's get into the presentation. Tiny houses come in all forms. They're the only thing that limits you is your imagination. The popularity really started in the northwest of the country, and they were by millennials who owned their own company, owned their own business, but didn't want to be tied down to a house, but yet they still wanted to own it. So that's how tiny houses actually got started up in the Northwest. And this is just a sample of actually showing a moving truck moving their house with them when they're going out to wherever they're going to work. And again, I'll get into that again further on in their walk. Here's one again, very classic look, shingles on the outside. This is one that actually is a little bit offbeat. There's a little town in Texas. It's called Hobbitown. And for those of you who are fantasy readers, that's based on J.R. Tolkien's Hobbit books. They actually have all these little houses that look like the houses he described in the Hobbit books. Oops, there we go. This is a more modern look. A lot of glass, see through the house, bedrooms on either side of it. Here's a very modern one. Now, this one is actually made for beach living, which again, I'm going to follow up on these a little bit more. But what this is, if you see that panel off to the left, that's actually a panel that slides over that glass when you're not there, or at night when you don't want to be bothered. You just actually enclose your house. Meanwhile, that faces a beach, so you can see the beach all day long without having to walk away from your house. Want to live on the water? This is literally on the water. They can be built on barges and put out on lakes, rivers, the ocean, wherever you want to do them. This one is actually up in the Northwest. Right now in the Northwest, there's a community being built. When it's finished, we'll have 60 tiny houses on barges on a very large lake near Seattle. Nice thing about this type of house, don't like your neighbors, just unhook it, float away, and find a new neighborhood. So that's a nice thing about those houses. This is just a fun one. There's a vendor that just does all different kind of crazy colors. This is for the artists. This is for the people who want to have a little fun with their house. This one, again, you can do things with them that people don't think you can do. This one actually has a greenhouse next to it where they're growing their own vegetables and fruits and everything else. This is one, it looks like the Jetsons live there or something. This is in a little community that likes to be ultra modern and kind of space age looking. This is going back again to the Hobbit town. This was the first one that they built up there. And the thing that they did, like again, to kind of go with the book, they have round doors on them. They're made out of shingles and so on and so forth. So your imagination is the only limitation on this. This is actually a little camper. A friend of mine owns one of these. All that's in there is a bed, a little bathroom, and there's a little kitchen built into the side of this. And this is for people just like to move around to campgrounds and have kind of fun with it. This is an inside shot. A lot of people say, well, these are like really, what can you do inside of them? Well, there's actually a luxury shop. People have a hard time when I show them just that picture. That's inside a tiny house. This particular one is about 900 square feet. The tiny houses run from the smallest that's out there is 125 square feet that I found. The largest is about 950 square feet, average around 650 to 700 square feet. This is one of the large ones. Whoops. Like a little more rustic look. There's one, this actually looks more like a log cabin. You see the paneling on the side. Almost all of them, the bedroom's up on the second floor. There's a loft bedroom and you have stairwell going up to get to your loft. All your living space is down on the first floor. Here's a little more modern one. Now here, they've actually, for more storage, they've put the living room up a little bit. They've elevated it so that there's storage down underneath the panels, underneath the living room. The thing that you have to get used to on this, I was with a builder one day that had a couple that was looking at them. He told them to take everything that they want to move with, clothes, books, their stereo, whatever they wanted to move in, and lay it all out in the driveway of their house. And they laid it all out, and he said, that's great. You want to live in a small house? Get rid of 80% of that. And this is, again, is you need to learn to live tiny. You can't have all the luxuries you have with a big house, but that's the whole idea of these. People want to get back to a simpler way of living. Here again is another look of one where this one has an open stairwell. This is kind of looking down, but you can see on the right, there's a big sliding door with a little patio area that goes out on it. Every part of this is put into use. There's no wasted space in the tiny home. This is one that, again, that the whole front of the tiny home opens to go out to that little deck. But meanwhile, you kind of get a shot down the house. The loft is actually above the deck. You can't see, the bedroom is above the deck, so you can't see that. That one right there is 700 square feet. There's a shot from the loft looking down on one. Again, a lot of storage in them. The kitchen is actually off to the left where you kind of see those apples sitting on the counter. That is the living area that, they've elevated to put more storage down below it. Here's pretty much a fairly standard one. Again, this is a shot down where what you're seeing on the far end, that is actually the kitchen on the end, and off to the right is the bathroom on this one. The loft is upstairs. You can kind of see the blankets and so on their mattress up there. So everything is very compact and right at hand. This is an actual bathroom on one of the larger ones. Again, people say, well, gee, I like my time in the shower. I like my sink to shave and relax. This is a bathroom. It's in one. It's on a 900 square foot one. But again, the bathrooms can be just as big and just as luxurious as what you have in a house. These are the steps going upstairs, two different versions of them. Again, I wanted to kind of show the one on the left is mainly all storage. The one on the right, they've actually put the kitchen underneath the steps, so that makes use of that space. And again, there's a little bit of storage in those steps. this is kind of a blurry picture on it, but they're all built on trailers, or, which, again, I'll talk, they can be put on a pad, but the tiny houses actually are usually on trailers. And this is kind of where we can kind of get into some of the different things that you can do with an investor. When you get these, you can either just buy the frame on a trailer, which is the top picture, where basically they just put up, I recommend steel frames, but they'll do a steel or a wood frame for you. Or if you already kind of know what you want to do with the outside or don't want to do the outside, they'll build just a shell with the plywood, and they cut out the doors and windows. You can do that, and you finish everything off yourself. So if you match it for either your style or whatever you had in mind for it. And this is the crux. This is where the investment part comes in. This is a village, actually, that I kind of got interested in about 2 years ago when it started. This is up in Flat Rock, North Carolina. There's actually 10 houses on that little site. You can see another one kind of hiding in the woods there. These houses run from 600 square feet up to 800 square feet. They are all on wheels. They're all owned by investors. There is a company that goes in then, and this is a service this company wants if you don't want to do it yourself. They turn these into hotels. These rent for $159 a night or $139 a night if you book it for the week. This particular community, and again, I know this isn't, people don't even want to care about this because this isn't important, but your cash on cash return is 117%. There's a 32% cap rate on this property. This gentleman I've talked to is building his third tiny house community. It's going to be in Texas. He feels he's going to get his return on the land, the development, the landscaping, putting the house, buying the houses, blah, 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 the whole thing. He will get 100% of his money back in 18 months. Unbelievable cash cows. Some of the projects we're working on down in Florida, we're going to do a similar community on this. And again, I'll put my information up in a minute, but I'm looking for investors to get involved with this. The nice thing about it, investors can get involved with this with a low cash amount. The project I'm working on right now, with you do a $15,000 down payment, and then your payments on the house itself then would run about $530 a month. These rent out, as I said, for as much as $139, $159 a night. We have a little community that just opened up here in Fort Myers where I'm at, that he put up 3 tiny houses. He's getting $200 a night because he's on the water in a tourist area. So again, these are unbelievable cash cows. Now, the nice thing about bringing investors to this, again, this model is on the screen right now. The investors come in and buy these. There's another management company, rents them, takes care of the property, takes care of the renters, and all that. At the end of 2 years, the owner of that house can either haul it off the property to use it himself, or they can leave it on the property and sign another 2-year contract. Again, the newest one that's out there, which again, if you get in touch with me personally, I can get you the information. I asked him if I could put him out on that site. He didn't want to be there for whatever reason. I can show you their P&Ls. And as I said, unbelievable cash cows. I'm working on this project. I have other projects that people don't even, they're saying, well, what else can you do with them? I've talked to this with Dr. Molinari. We're going to be building a senior community. We're going to be building a office community. We're going to be working on college housing. And this is one of my most unique ones. I don't know anybody else that's doing this. I'm looking for partners on this also. But let's think about it. My kids went to a school in Gainesville, Florida, that there was an 18-month waiting list to get into the dorm. Off-campus housing was unbelievable. My son had 5 friends who were living in a condemned home without anybody knowing they were there because they couldn't find a place to live. Put up a tiny house community. Rent them, they buy them. Because again, most of them can be purchased and their monthly payment is less than their dorm payments would be. Johnny graduates from college. I have a tiny house. What do I do with it? Rent it to another student or sell it to another family. Or here's what Johnny likes. Johnny graduated from school in Florida, but his first job was in Columbus, Ohio. He hooks his pickup truck and he takes his house to Columbus, Ohio, and he's still living in his house. There's so many uses for this. I can, like again, Doc told me I had to keep it to 15 minutes. I could talk to you for hours on this. So there are so many different ways of getting involved with this. I am looking for partners. I will help other people get started with this. I have partnerships with several companies that build them. As I mentioned to Doc just a few minutes ago, settled it today, we are going to start building tiny houses ourselves, but we're going to be building them out of materials that are very ecological and very good for our environment. Right now, most of them are houses are made out of wood. So again, right now, I always look for what I call the unreal estate. I consider this to be unreal estate. As I mentioned, they are cash cows. I'm looking for partners, or I also will get you, if you're in another state and can't swing it down here to where the weather's nice and the sun's out all day, I can help you get set up in other communities. My eventual goal, my 3-year goal on this is to have a series of these set up, kind of like a KOA campground. You can get a membership, and if you want to come down to Florida on vacation, you can rent one down here. Or if you want to go up to Seattle for a getaway, we can rent one up there. So again, I'm looking for partners on that, and all I can say is 2 little words: cash cows. So please get in touch with me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. I got to tell you, as we talked about this, Mike and I have talked about this extensively. I really feel like the university thing is a no-brainer. I mean, this is so much better than living in a dorm situation where, you have just a small amount of room and it's extremely expensive. You could set up, even target fraternities or sororities and put up housing and then offer it, to the fraternity or sorority to have individual living arrangements as opposed to investing in this big house. I just think that's another option. There's just tons of options with this. It's amazing.
What's interesting, and I want to get Mike on for some Q&A, but what the concept that's interesting to me is, I guess, and I'm trying not to think of this like a trailer, but I'm trying to think of it like a house you can hook up and take with you if you move. The concept I find interesting. And if we could, I've got some questions, but I'm going to defer to these guys if they have any first, because I got a quick laundry list here. Do you guys have any questions? Sure, John.
Do they have tanks in them for sewage and also water tanks?
They're totally self-contained. They have a sewage container, a water container, and a generator for power.
You have to maintain them like you maintain a camper.
Correct.
Propane tank for the cooking?
I'm sorry?
Propane tank for cooking?
Well, it does use, there's a propane on the outside for the kitchen, or depending on where you go, there's some campgrounds in Florida right now that are being set up for tiny houses. We'll have gas hooked up, so you can actually have gas appliances if you want to stay in those parts. But yeah, it's generally propane.
Michael, tell them about the roofing and the electrical solar stuff down here.
Well, one of the things that we're working on is I'm dealing with a vendor, which these have they have shingle roofs. They're very simple building. But I have a vendor that's going to meet with me next week that has shingles that are sun gatherers. They're actually, you can store the power, gather the power, and store it in batteries. And we're going to look at using those on these homes. So that way the generators can be smaller, just used for emergencies, but you'll be able to collect sun and save it in batteries for your power. So your shingles are solar panels.
Joe, you had a question?
Well, I mean, I've dove into this quite a bit due to a house that I own and the way it's constructed. But part of it I was going to turn into an apartment, and I've been following the tiny house thing for probably 3 years. So a couple of those homes I've actually looked at in the last week or two that you showed on your presentation. Like the one with the greenhouse, what a fantastic idea to like pull your house in, and then there's this something at your deck or something stays there. But as you said, it's my home that is movable.
Correct.
You want to go and see the kids or whatever. But so the community, the tiny house hotel, like Tumbleweed Tiny Homes is doing that, and then there's a bunch of others following. Are you working with them, or because they're kind of the leader in that, or?
Tumbleweed gives me the best financing, so yeah, I'm working with them, but I have a couple smaller ones that are trying real hard to catch up to Tumbleweed. The biggest thing you have, again, if you've been following for 3 years, you know at one time, if you want to get a tiny house, you have to call the builder, and sometimes it was as long as 4 to 6 months before it'd be finished and delivered to you. It's gotten so popular that big companies like Tumbleweed actually has an inventory now, so you can actually, I think they keep anywhere from 20 to 30 completed houses on their property now, so they can ship it to you in under 2 weeks. So again, Tumbleweeds is the leader in this, but again, I'm working with some smaller vendors too, so I like to kind of help little guys, I guess.
Discussing before your presentation, where it's been mentioned several times, these $2,000 lots in Florida, where first you got to get into the affordability of the lot, and then at least around here in Middle Tennessee, their reluctance to let you put these tiny homes on them. Even the more rural counties, Murray County, Giles County, are now, they all want to be like Franklin and Nashville with minimum square footage or appropriate use.
Without minimum acreage, you're going to have, unless it's agricultural zoning, you got to have a foundation. So you're not going to get a tiny lot or a tiny house without a foundation. That's a good point.
Yeah, there are pockets that are very open to them, and others that, like you say, it's a struggle. If you even bring up the word tiny house to somebody in the government, they throw you out the door. Florida was a tough haul. One of the things they're working on now is it's been voted down once, but they're going to try it again in a couple months to actually create a tiny house zoning. So again, there will be parts of the county where you can put these houses on any lot because the zoning will allow tiny houses. Was shot down the first time, again, mainly because people didn't want them in their communities, and the problem was they didn't understand them. These don't have to be on wheels. They can be put on a pad. And for example, in Lee County, the minimum house for minimum square footage for a single family home is 680 square feet. Well, that's a tiny house. I just take the wheels off and put it on the pad. I can build it in the neighborhood.
There's a place
It's actually 585 for one person, Mike.
Is it 585 now? Okay.
No, for one person. If two people are going to live there, it's at 685 or something.
Well, see, I don't want to live by myself because I don't want to be alone. So.
Well, that's true. But even in Lee County, Florida, which is the pain in the ass for code enforcement, you're allowed, and I check into this because, I'm in code enforcement all the time. You're allowed 6 months. Yeah, thanks for laughing for that. You're allowed to have a temporary occupancy on your property for 6 months. So with a tiny house, you just roll it away. Put it in storage. It's $25 a month down here in summer storage, and then roll it back on when you come down at the next year. A lot of these snowbirds. And you see the new trend now is to roll one of these things in your backyard so your parents can live there, kind of deal, or now you're returning kids from college.
Right.
And if you're allowed to have a temporary shelter on your property for a couple months or whatever, there you go.
Well, I have a client I'm working with right now that's interested in purchasing a tiny house. And again, her deal is, with Florida, we have a lot of part-time residents. She's a snowbird. She does 6 months down here, 6 months up in Wisconsin. She's thinking, well, here's my deal. I take my house to Wisconsin when I'm living my 6 months up there. When I'm ready to come to Florida, we tow it to Florida and I stay in my house. The house moves with me. And she loves the idea.
Matter of fact, I have a 13-spot mobile home park that somebody sent me in Silver Springs, maybe, Florida. But I get them all the time. People trying to sell me a mobile home empty mobile home parks or half empty mobile home parks. So there is places to put these things.
All right, I've got a few questions. You guys feel free to jump in. Mike, so, and help me understand, because I'm actually kind of new to this. So part of where my head's going is, my father has a camper. He's had a couple. What's the difference?
Well, again, depending on the size, these have everything that your house would have. They have a bedroom, a living room, kitchen, full bathroom, and so on. I think I even showed you the one bathroom. You can have your shower and your luxury sinks and all that in. So this is just a miniature house, is what it is. Whereas the camper is basically the bed and the camping equipment. Now, again, on the small ones, trying to get back to that picture. Like, again, there's a bathroom on a tiny house. You don't do that in a camper.
It's a very nice version, but it's a better looking trailer. I mean, is that what we're dealing with if we're not putting it on?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, there's that's not a real good picture of the picture. The trailers they're steel frame trailers. There are companies that specialize just in these trailers for tiny homes. Again, you have length and width restrictions. The width is 8 feet because, again, you have to be able to take it out on the highway. So they can't be more than 8 feet wide.
It's an actual stick-built home built on a mobile platform.
Correct.
As opposed to this panelized modular, like, junky thing.
Right.
It's higher quality.
Right.
Well, it's very much like an RV, an RV camper. Because they got cooking, they got
I mean, what he's just showing,
it's more decorative than an RV. It does look a lot better.
Two major codes, and they're going to the codes thing. And
well, see, that was one of I was getting.
Yeah, there's RVIA, and then
get,
there's also NOAA, which is National Association.
A lot of people are getting the multis. My wife's cousin, she's a nurse, and so go to Phoenix. She called me, wanted to build her one. Then she got a job here and didn't do it. So she got a lot of research on
that. So I'm gonna go down this. I'm gonna hit a quick question list. I'm thinking from the investor standpoint. What's generally the square footage on the homes, Mike?
They vary anywhere from let's say the medium one for investors would be 650 to 750 square feet.
750. And what's the width? So if we're talking about pulling one and moving it somewhere, how wide are they usually?
Usually the maximum is about 8 feet, and again, the average, well, it's going to depend on the square footage, but a lot of them that I've dealt with are a little over 20 feet long.
That's length. Yeah, no, I'm talking about how wide they are.
8 foot.
8 foot. It's 8 foot.
For your DOT, 8 foot is as wide as you can get before you have to. Well, there's many rules, but without it being flagged as a wide load.
Wide load, somebody.
And then after it gets to a certain size, you have to get the pilot cars. But most are exterior 8 feet.
Okay, so all right, that just the numbers 20 feet long, 8 feet wide is 160 feet. How are you getting 650?
Well, some of them are a little bit longer, and you got to remember these are 2-story.
13 and 4, 13 6.
Yeah.
Some trucks are 16.
Yeah, but
You got to stay on the interstate,
yeah.
For sure.
I don't know a tiny home builder. I think it's either 13.4 or 13.6, something like that. That's from ground to tip, just for all states and their DOT.
Okay.
And he's saying like the loft where that mattress is, they'll work that into the square footage.
So
some of them have a full second floor. They'll put like 2 bedrooms on a second floor and close it in.
I've seen those being built on a 24. You get 26, you can go up to 32.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
I'm looking at a 16 to 20.
How are they financed, Mike?
Tumbleweeds will actually finance it themselves. The other ones, where people make mistakes with these, they go to the bank and try to get a house loan. And of course, the bank turns them down. These are RVs. You need to go to your bank and get an RV loan. They're a little tougher to get than a house loan sometimes, but you actually finance them as if you were buying an RV.
Tumbleweed will they do like Clayton does and finance it with the land attached?
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
Will Tumbleweed will they do like Clayton does and finance them with the land attached?
Not that I'm aware of. Right now, they're just doing the tiny house. That's a good question. I'll ask them when I talk to them tomorrow.
Do you actually sell these, or do they just lend against them? Lend them?
They sell them.
That's their own is what they're doing.
You know, the longest lasting, best built. They're amazing. They're also got an amazing price.
Yeah.
Depending where you live, again, like I know some of the guys down here in Florida, there's actually going to be a tiny house festival in St. Pete on April 8th. And they'll actually have 30 of these out on site at, I think it's the fairgrounds. Again, if you get back in touch with me, I can send you the specifics on it. But again, they'll have, a couple dozen of these sitting there. That inside will be a lot of vendors that sell the furniture, the ovens, and blah, 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 and all that. I've been to these festivals, and it's just like, it's an amazing. You can't leave. It's just, you just keep walking around, and every time you take another step or turn another way, you see something new that you didn't think was possible. So again, they're fine. You can get, if you go on to tiny house festivals, just Google it. They're all over the country. And it'll tell you when and where, and you can actually go and visit the tiny houses before you purchase if you're interested in it. But again, it's neat to kind of just go and talk to these builders because they all have really unique ideas. One of the things we're going to put in ours, which we talked about, is again, as I showed you, all of these have a staircase to go up to your loft. Ours, the staircase is going to have attachments to the wall. If you want to work or make it your office, you unbolt it from the wall, push the stairs across your living area, and inside, under the stairs, will be a desk, file cabinets, bookcases, whatever you need to work your office. End of your workday, stand up, walk around, push it back, attach it to the wall, and it's your staircase. And that way your office isn't out all day, but again, you still can use this as an office at home.
So Joe had just mentioned codes, but he was discussing, I think, some of the code standards regarding construction on trailers versus RVs. I was actually contemplating the codes issues actually for habitation. So when you set one of these up, permitting, I'm assuming you essentially set it up like a mobile home. In other words, you just gotta, if you're maintaining it just like you maintain a camper, you've got you don't actually, do you hook into a water line or do you hook into permanent electric or what's?
It's basically you just build these for whatever your use is. Excuse me, they'll custom make them any way that you'd like. You can have hookups to plug in. You can have water lines. We're actually, because we're not really looking to move them that much, we're actually going to put, so that you can hook up the sewer lines on ours. We're not planning on making them. The only reason it have wheels on them is, like I said, if the investor wants to pull it out of the program after 2 years, they just have to pull the skirt down, put a truck to it, and take it. That's the only reason we're leaving the wheels on them.
If you could repeat what you were just saying about just hooking up codes. This is just, some of these guys know this better than I do. This is for my own edification. But do you hook up to water and sewer electric, or do you?
If you're planning on taking it off the wheels, you can. If you leave it on the wheels, then you have to use it just like you would an RV. It'll be a temporary hookup. But if you're planning on doing it permanently, one of the villages that we're looking at up in an area called Citrus County, they're not going to be built on wheels. They're actually going to be built on pads. Those of you who aren't familiar with Florida, we don't have basements.
So that they have to allow mobile homes for zoning purposes to allow these, correct?
Correct.
You make it permanent and attach them.
Maybe permanent.
Pretty sure you'll have
minimum
all
square
coverage.
footage. Yeah.
Those steps, there's no way to allow those steps.
What would you ever think, if you're not going to have wheels on it, would you ever use a shipping container as a base? Wouldn't those be like a little bit cheaper?
Actually, if you go online and look at tiny homes, you'll find there's a whole group of people that just use shipping containers. That's kind of not my thing, because that's a little bit more work to get those ready. And in Florida, they're not as accessible. I have a friend, for example, up in in Louisiana, that went to an auction and bought 7 shipping containers at an auction for $100 each. She's going to make those into tiny homes, but again, then you got to get out there to cut your doorways and your windows and add your plumbing and electric and so on. So they're a little tougher to work with, but they can be done. There's a whole genre of shipping container homes out there.
Exactly. They used to give them away. They're like, oh, people buy these now.
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
what's the money making angle? Where's the sweet spot? If we're talking about short-term rentals, and you mentioned Lee County, I mean, you know, I was just discussing briefly with these guys, you know, if you're in Davidson County and you get a dirt cheap piece of land outside, within 30 minutes of Nashville, you can do a short-term rental and make money because
Right.
the hotel rates in Nashville are insane. What's the sweet spot on these? I mean, from the investor standpoint, not just the.
If you actually, I mean, we're going to sell them also because most of these, even like, well, we'll use tumbleweed since we brought that up. If you become a dealer for tumbleweeds, you have $15,000 to $20,000 profit in each one if you sell them.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about a product under $90,000. You still can get $20,000 profit.
You're just selling to an end user at that point.
Did not hear the question.
Just selling to an end user, and they're just treating you like a salesman and giving you commission.
Well, even again, one of the things that we'll be bringing in is I've already talked to a couple a couple companies like Lowe's and so on, that they're actually going to stock kits for me. So I can have them shipped. The kits run $25,000 at my retail, and everything gets just shipped to the site for the people, and everything's there. All your materials are there. There's videos telling you how to build it, and you just build it yourself. So again, my kits will run around $25,000, $26,000, and that's with about a $7,000 profit. And that's nice because I don't have to do anything. It's, you know, Lowe's puts it on a truck and takes it.
So for the average investor, though, that may want to play this as an investment game, I mean, do you have an angle for them as opposed to like the dealer and the seller of it?
Again, that would be the part-time rentals, the seasonal rentals. In other states, again, you'd have to be annual rentals probably because you can't do seasonal like in Florida. In Florida, you can put up seasonal property just about anywhere and rent it. But again, the rentals on these are phenomenal. The average, there's a friend of mine has 3 of them in a little area called Citrus County in Florida, which is really kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of a real touristy area. It's where you go to the kayak with the manatees, get some fishing done, that sort of thing. He has 3 of them, and he has them rented for between $850 to $900 a month, which is about $300 a month under what similar size houses would rent for, or the rental market, and he's making about $200 profit a month per house.
On that financing, are those 20-year amortizations, or do they amortize for 5 or 10 years?
That's 20 years. And that's, again, they figured high, that's those figures I gave you, that's based on 6% interest. So again, we all know that we're not at 6% interest, so your payments would actually be under the $530 a month.
Okay. Other questions? Andrea?
Yeah, I mean I'm interested. I'm in the whole industry and what you're doing in Florida, but since I live in Tennessee, I'm more interested in finding out. You know, that's my next few months.
Are you kind of thinking the way I was thinking?
I'm going to be homeless in about a month and a half.
Oh, yeah.
It's self-serving because I'm selling my house out from under me.
Okay.
And self-serving, and also
Mark's got a tent
from the cash flow.
We got land. We always have land time to time back there.
Yeah.
We won't let you be homeless.
I got enough materials to probably build one, but
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I want it from a cash flow basis. You know, what we can do as far as the tiny home hotel concept.
Again, if you just drop me a line in my email that was up there a minute ago, it's investswfl@gmail.com. I can send you the P&L statements from Tumbleweeds on that little community we showed the picture of. It's that one. They have, actually, it's 8 houses, and I can send you the P&L sheets.
And can you just refresh me just a little bit? You had mentioned you can get the kits for how much?
Usually about $27,000.
And what does that entail, putting that kit together and bringing it to completion?
Again, you're basically building your own house. I mean, you have the videos that lead you step to step to get it. There's also, again, I don't have it. I should have it with me. But again, if you just send me an email, there's actually a company in Georgia that they invite people to their property every quarter to actually build a tiny house, and they put it online, and you can watch them build it, and they describe what they're doing, how they're doing it, and everything else. It's a 3-day build, and they'll tell you, exactly what they're doing. Or if you want to go, I think it's $300, which I find amazing. You pay $300, go there, build the house for the guy, and so he gets free labor, and you pay him to go. And then, but they actually build a tiny house. And again, get in touch with me. I can send you the link to that company because they have one coming up in about 3 weeks, I think, where they're going to do one online. Did you watch it? You watch the actual build.
They're just sending you the pieces.
Yeah, the material package.
Yeah, you get a lumber kit, you get a...
Yeah.
That's it.
It's all set.
Everything, appliances, you get the appliances, you get your roof, everything is in there, your generators, and then the video and the book to tell you how to put it together.
Right.
I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
More than likely, we'll go to this Lowe's locally, pick it up. They might do it there, but it's like Walmart. If you send somebody money doesn't go anywhere, they just go to the other.
Yeah.
Same thing on this material. You look at material thing, set it up, you just go to the local Lowe's, pick up the package.
I got you.
That's right. Well, they'll deliver it. I think it's $300. They have it delivered. I was going to use Mark LaPera to build mine, but then I saw the quality of some of his work, and I decided not to.
It's a not so tiny home.
Brandon, did you have any thoughts, comments, ideas?
Yeah,
like I said, for me, the application that I've talked the most about with Michael is the college application, because I just think it's a smart move. The cost of a dorm is ridiculous, and even the rentals are not cheap. I know this because my daughter's at Central Florida, and I'm just thinking I wish that I had this situation, because you're paying the money to buy this. You have nothing to show for it if you have them in the dorm or they're just renting. But if in this case, if you do the tiny house, you can argue that, at the end of this, you're going to own this house, which they can then take with them or turn around and sell it or rent it out themselves. So you're actually giving the young person something to start off with, kind of like what you did, where you did your first rental, Steve, when you were in school. It's a great way to get into the real estate thing, even if it's going to be a sideline to something else you're doing. It's still smart. And this is a very accessible way of getting in, because the price tag is not huge.
I agree. College is exactly where it should start, and building equity should start in college if you can do it. If you can, I was able to, my first one, I was actually a co-sign with my parents on FHA, but I had the down payment, but it really wasn't that much of a down payment. No, definitely interesting. Definitely good material to think about. Obviously, as investors, we got to keep our minds open to different ways to make money and always see opportunity and potential. And I think there's a lot of us also that always have a certain intrigue with sunny Florida. I know I do. And
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I always follow places like Florida, because there's
and then you could hook up your home and get it out when there's a hurricane.
Yeah. Wait until
that's it.
Hotel.
One of these days, when a massive hurricane comes, I'm going to go buy $1 million lot on the.
Steve, Eva's online on the phone, and she has a question for Michael. Eva, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Michael. Can you hear me? I'm in Dallas.
Yes, I got you.
Oh, hey. So I just wanted to say thank you. What a great presentation. Great visuals. I'm in my kitchen making dinner for my 5-year-old. She's all in. She wants one. No surprise, right?
Yeah. Did you make enough dinner for all of us? Did you make enough dinner for all of us?
I did.
No.
We're doing family stuff. We're doing family style spaghetti. No, I'm telling you, how you presented everything so well, and this is what I want to share from a membership perspective. This kind of education, it's so invigorating. I just want to go on social media and blast this all night long. And here's what I want to say to Mark and Steve. When you grow network marketing membership, when you get really good at it, they give you cars. I think we should give away tiny houses. That's just my thought. No, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. I learned a lot, and I thought it was amazing. And I will be posting this for sure on social media. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I guess we'll throw it back to you, Steve. I hope we've given Les, since you're here in Florida, I hope that it's given you some food for thought, because I could see you doing this, and it'd give you an excuse to come down to Florida to manage it. It'd be a built-in excuse. You could write off all your trips to Florida as business expenses. Like you haven't already thought of that.
All this it's a sponge. Mike, just so you know, Les actually buys in Florida.
Okay.
Les is an extremely active investor, probably has 20 or 30 deals going at least right now.
Oh, wow. Great.
Deals, and they're paid for in cash. So he knows the game very well. So he's a good guy to talk to. And he knows he's just generally an intelligent horse trader. So, but he's looking for coastal stuff. I'm not exactly sure. You can talk to him about it.
Okay.
We're all interested in that. Anyway, guys, Mike, I'd like to thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
And just so you guys, which most of us, you're new, obviously, you can see what we do here. We try to connect a little bit beyond Nashville, and we can have presentations from anywhere across the country. As you see, that's our Director of Education in Florida. We got a pretty deep connection with Florida because of Mark, my co-founder of Green, whose original business was in Florida. So as you guys know, these meetings are always free and open to the public. We want to encourage everybody to come, get educated, network, pass around cards. We do have a component of this that is a business. It's a network marketing company. We have online training, and our company's called Green Global Real Estate Education Network. Reed, you're really the only, I have a couple of guys that, John, you haven't signed up yet. We'll get you in. Joe, you'll be in eventually here. These guys are coming in, so you're the only one that's not officially in. No peer pressure there, but this isn't by any means a hard sell. Really, the concept of our company is to actually get paid while you get educated. And we basically, this kind of says it in a nutshell, Mentor with Millionaires. You essentially get to go online, train, have live interactive education with guys that are already established, successful millionaires. We have a broad range of subjects. We have a gentleman with a PhD that's actually building an online learning management system. So we're a little bit different than your average RIA group that you go to, even though we encourage everybody to attend those meetings. And we're a network marketing company. You're going to see more. All of you guys that have been here are going to see a lot of action. It's going to start to come down the pipe. We're pretty excited about it, about larger national connections, even multinational connections. We're officially, I guess, the beta launch for this is April 9th, even though people are signing up now. But we've got some really, really big stuff planned. I'm sure Eva would love to talk about it, but I think we'll hold some of it to the vest. And But what I would recommend, if you're serious, I have these talks with people. There are people that are actually serious, and they come out, they come to a place like this on Wednesday, and they're interested in getting educated, in building relationships, in pushing their business forward. And there are people that kick tires and talk about it and don't take any action. And the kind of people that we engage with are the ones that come here. Anthony's been here. Anthony knows, can tell stories. Anthony, a fresh guy coming in, working with Les and Lloyd, and getting involved by adding value to someone who's already established, and they're making deals happen. And basically, what we're trying to do is take a network marketing company, and you guys aren't sales reps, you're mentors. And the ultimate goal, as we said, is to create millionaire mentors, people who mentor other people. Create that type of relationship in the education process. So we don't just leave people hanging. People that know me, even though I do get busy sometimes, anybody that's a member of my group can call me. And I'll have a sit down. You've basically got a consultant who's got a pretty fair amount of experience in the business here. And so if that's something you're interested in, we can talk to you about it. If not, no sweat. We can keep coming back. We like to be respectful of everyone's time. Generally, we want this to get wrapped up in about an hour. We can kind of sit, pass around cards. Andrea, I'm sure Mark probably has something to say. Is he off in the background? Oh, we did we lose Mark? Okay. Might have lost him on the cell phone.
What I can do for you, Steve, before we close up, is I can kind of give people a prelude of what's on the horizon for speakers in future groups. Next week, we have Michael Miller as a home inspector, and he's going to talk about common defects that you'll find in an average home inspection, and what are some reasonably priced suggested remedies for those things. So that's an important thing for investors. On the 21st of March, we have Kathy Carter coming in. She has a specialty in real estate and divorce, which is a factor unpleasant to think about, of course, but it plays an important role. And the more that realtors understand people selling property, buying property, and it's very important. So that's, I think, will be an interesting presentation on the 21st. And then finally, the 28th of March, we have Darren Hickman coming, and he's going to be talking about what real estate investors and realtors need to know about odor control in their properties. So that's, very practical, certainly evokes feelings and memories, I'm sure, for people. But again, practical. So that's what we try to do here, is to have a variety of different topics and hope to appeal to you on different levels. So thank you, Michael. By the way, a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. And Michael and I are going to be exploring this, just so you know. My intention is to go with him to one or more of these conventions and get film footage, do interviews with experts in the field with Michael, and actually get a lot of video of these different houses, walk you through, get some tours, and pop those up onto the website for people to enjoy, and to, be able to be in contact with Michael for more on this. And of course, he's got a show coming up this month, next week, actually, the first one on Tuesday. You can check the calendar for it, and we'll be certainly talking about this topic more.
Yeah, one of my plans on it is I actually have waiting to get which date he's available. I'm actually going to have one of the builders on my first presentation or second presentation, so you can actually talk directly to someone who's been building them for years.
Mike, I was just going to say, you look good. You lost weight.
I've lost 80 pounds. Thank you for noticing.
Good. You look like a new man, so congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Mike, thanks.
Glad to do it.
See you guys again soon. Thanks. Bless and I see you.
Good night, everybody.
All right.